Hey guys, I am Murphy Joy P. Tobio. I'm taking up Bachelor of Physical Education in Eastern Visayas State University at Ormoc City grounds. So for today's video I'm going to discuss to you the 13 types of anatomical movement and how to execute it properly. So without further ado, let's get on to the video. But first of all, what is anatomical movement? Anatomical movement used to describe the actions of muscles upon the skeleton. Muscles contract to produce movement at joints, and the subsequent movements can be precisely described using the terminology. So these are the 13 types of anatomical movement. So first in the list is abduction, the movement of a limb away from the midline of the body. The muscles involved are latissimus dorsi, trapezius muscle, biceps brachii, triceps brachii, deltoid, and pectoralis major, while the bones involved are clavicle, scapula, and humerus. Second is adduction, the movement of a body part towards the midline of the body. The muscles and bones that is involved in adduction is the same as abduction. The third movements are angular motion and circumduction. Angular motion is produced when the angle between bones of a joint changes. They include flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, and circumduction. While circumduction is a movement of a limb in a circular motion, as in swinging an arm around. The muscles and bones that is involved are just the same with abduction and adduction, but with an additional muscle, which is the exterior digitorum. The fourth movements are dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. Dorsiflexion refers to flexion at the ankle so that the foot points more superiorly, while plantar flexion refers extension at the ankle so that the foot points inferiorly. The muscles involved are Achilles tendon, gastrocnemius, peroneus longus, tibialis exterior, extensor digitorum, and sartorius, while the bones involved are patella, tibia, fibula, tarsus, calcaneus, metatarsal, and phalanges. The fifth movements are elevation and depression. Elevation refers to movement in a superior direction, while depression refers to movement in an inferior direction. The muscles involved are trapezius, deltoid, pectoralis major, sternocleidomastoid, and latissimus dorsi, while the bones involved are clavicle, scapula, humerus, and shoulder girdle. The sixth movement is extension, refers to a movement that increases the angle between two body parts. And the seventh movement is flexion. Flexion describes a bending movement that decreases the angle between a segment and its proximal segment. The muscles involved are deltoid, pectoralis major, biceps and triceps brachii, flexor and extensor carpi group, and flexor and extensor digitorum, while the bones involved are clavicle, ulna, radius, scapula, and humerus. The eighth movement is gliding. Gliding occurs when the surfaces of bones slide past one another in a linear direction, but without significant rotary or angular movement. The next movement is opposition. Opposition brings the thumb and little finger together. And always remember, opposition has an antagonist movement which is called reposition. The muscles involved are flexor carpi group, extensor digitorum, and extensor carpi group, while the bones involved are carpal, metatarsal, and phalanges. So the 10th movements are pronation and supination. Supination and pronation are terms used to describe the up or down orientation of your hand, arm, or foot. So the muscles involved are extensor digitorum, extensor carpi group, and flexor carpi group, while the bones involved are humerus, ulna, radius, and lastly, carpal. So the next movement is protraction. It's a moving part of the body interiorly in the horizontal plane, as in jutting the face forward to gain a distance. And the next movement is retraction, the reverse movement of protraction, as in pulling the jaw back towards the spine. So the muscles involved are zygomaticus, masseter, orbicularis oris, sternocleidomastoid, trapezius, and occipitalis, while the bones involved are mandible, maxilla, cervical vertebrae, and temporal bone. So the last movement on the list is rotation. It involves turning the body or limb around the longitudinal axis, as in rotating the arm to screw in a light bulb. So the muscles involved are iliopsoas, external oblique, rectus abdominis, sartorius, gluteus maximus, and gluteus obvious, while the bones involved are lumbar vertebrae, ilium, pubis, sacrum, and axium. So that is all for a lesson for today. I hope you learned something from me. Thank you so much for watching.